Hi, I'm Hal Ottaway with the Wichita Postcard Club, and it's time once again for a Wichita Postcard of the Week. In the old days, and by that I mean like 1910, 1912, back in the days of horses on streets of downtown Wichita pulling buggies and carriages and wagons, and a little bit of automatic cars and automobiles uh, traversing, along with streetcars, lots of activity in downtown Wichita. People would come there to shop, and they would come there for doctors and attorneys and businesses and shopping, and everything was in downtown Wichita. Lots of activity, so different from today. But we know, or we think we're giving clues through the newspapers and city directory ads and so forth of a location of maybe one, maybe two postcard shops in downtown Wichita also. There was one we've seen ads for in the Schweider building. Today, that's at the building still stands by a different name. The First National Bank is in there now, but it's at the northeast corner of Douglas and Main Street. And in this wonderful building, you walk along the sidewalk on both sides of it today on the corner, and you see there are, uh, lots of windows and so forth. So there might have been shops in there, or you might have gone in the building and down a hall to a shop. But in any case, there was a lot of foot traffic in the area, and they were able to direct people to the postcard shop. And postcards were a big deal in the 1910, 1920 era. And it was a way of communicating. People sent postcards instead of writing a letter. They sent postcards, maybe some people had telephones too now, but they were sending postcards as a way of communicating, saying that they arrived here this morning and they'll leave next Tuesday and everything's going to town in Wichita. You ought to be here. But in any case, we know that these postcard shops existed in other towns, and sometimes as collectors, we find postcards advertising these shops, showing both exterior and interior views. Alas, we've not discovered anything like that for Wichita yet, but who knows? There's always the something new, something old, something that's discovered among collectors as albums are broken apart, of collections are sold all over the country. These things are transpiring and happening, and we see a lot of discoveries made all the time. But I never knew that that existed, that sort of thing. So there's always hope that there'll be a postcard shop from Wichita that will be documented at last on a postcard. Inside these shops, we know that they were usually pretty small. The ones that we have pictures of, with postcard racks going up along the walls, and some lighting, not the best, but people would go in there and they would find views, or they would do much as we do today, going into Dillon's or a drugstore to look for greeting cards. They would be looking for maybe a birthday card, maybe a comic greeting, something to tickle somebody at the other end of the mail line. But in any case, in these shops, they had lots of buildings, lots of churches, lots of places that were available for sale, that somebody visiting Wichita could have come in and picked out a picture of a bridge. My gosh, bridges were a big deal. Traversing and going over a waterway, you know, it's just hard to believe how difficult it was to get around in early days. But in any case, the postcard I want to show today is what we call a multi-view. And this is the multi-view card that I think probably was made by a postcard shop here in Wichita. They just went to the rack and took off 7 views of Wichita, kind of laid them out, and came up with the type and the shield design and everything. Greetings from Wichita, Kansas. And then took a picture of that, and then that was made into what we call a real photo postcard. They did not put their name on the back. You know, or I imagine, that no copyright money transferred hands as far as paying somebody for the use of their image. But we know that these were 7 images of Wichita that were popular. And so here was a chance to buy one card, see 7 images of Wichita, and be able to buy it and mail it to friends back home and show them what it's like here in the big city. But you see the Douglas Avenue Bridge there at the top left, and it has the sunflower on it. We're going to talk about that sunflower postcard publisher in another postcard of the week. Mount Carmel Academy's in the top center, and the St. Francis Hospital is in its early form in the top right. Going to the lower left, that's the Beacon Building. We know that it was constructed in 1910. It's still there today by another name. It's on South Main Street. Then the next card is the Catholic Cathedral at Broadway and Central downtown. And at just down the street from the Beacon Building at William and Main Street is the next structure, the Old City Building, which is today the proud home of the Wichita Sedgwick County Historical Museum. And lastly is the Masonic Temple or Masonic Building. I believe that's on First Street and Topeka downtown. But all of those bottom buildings are all still, in the lower row are still standing and functioning. But this sort of card would have been, they didn't put their name on it. I think it was just because they wanted to do something and to be able to offer a multi-views of Wichita to their clientele. But this is the way things were, and it's a good documentation of Wichita scenes. Okay, well, that's it for today, and please do give us a thumbs up, like us on Facebook and also YouTube, and we'll look forward to seeing you next week. Bye-bye.